Hello, everyone. Joseph from NoteFull here. We are live to learn, discover the 9 habits that create failure on the new TOEFL that we're already seeing, that are carrying over from the old TOEFL, and how to overcome them today. So, super excited to share this with you. And I really want you to be aware that you're not alone. These 9 habits are really common. They really do tend to get in the way of your improvement, but we're going to look and make sure that you can overcome them so you succeed. And I'm pretty confident that everyone, including myself, everyone as we reach our goals has at least one of these habits. So can't wait to get started. Joseph from NoteFull here, and just going to give our classmates a few minutes to come in. So just 2 to 3 minutes to let everyone stop by, start saying hello. Welcome to the live. Happy to be with you. So go ahead and say hello in the chat. Let me see who's here from Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. But LinkedIn, we can't really see the comments for that. So super excited to be with you. Farid, welcome. Miss Froggo's coming. Miss Froggo's coming. So that brings up a good point, actually. If we look over here, I want to give a quick outline of what we're going to do today. As I already said, we're going to talk about the 9 habits that create difficulty. So in the beginning, as our classmates come in, we're going to center ourselves for success. So Farid, pretty awesome. Lisa, hello. Michael, hello. Great to connect with you, everybody. I hope you find it helpful. Advice coming. So very cool, very excited to see everybody, and hello to you in Taiwan. Very cool, different time zone. I think you're already towards the evening, right? Islam, I'm doing well. I hope you are too. So I want to come back and just tell you that after we center ourselves as we usually do, get ready for a great class, I'm going to do a little survey just to kind of find out how we as a group are, how long we've been studying for the TOEFL, our dream scores. We're going to get into the heart of everything. We're going to discover and overcome each habit. So I'm super excited you're here. And at the end, I want to make sure to guide you, because many of you are continuing students. Many of you are going to be starting to work with us. So how to actually work with our study material so it's effective for you applying these 9 habits. So pretty cool to get started. So it's already been about 3 minutes. So Human, Joanna, Sahar. Oh, our first LinkedIn comment, it went through. Good morning to you. Yeah, because I think on LinkedIn, we're not able to see like the individuals unless you click some settings to share. Jose, Alejandra, Samadan, Marilyn, Fernando. Very cool. Hello out there in Brazil. So your time zone's relatively similar. Maybe you're an hour earlier. Chica, very cool. Ah, nice. Boston, very cool. Madagascar, nice. Very cool. So Andre, happy that you're here. Gonna overcome all our bad habits. And we are ready. I'm doing well. I'm excited. Rania, Fernanda, 11 a.m. Oh, so you're ahead. You're in the future. So, everyone, we ready to get started? Yes, no, maybe so. I think we are. We have our classmates here. So, as usual, let's center ourselves for success. This is also something I'm going to talk about in one of the habits, how important it is. So for 1 minute, we're just going to do our deep, slow breaths, 6 to 8 seconds in through the nose, 6 to 8 seconds out through the mouth, right? Eyes closed to focus on what we're going to do. Positive self-talk so that we're making sure that we're excited for today. We're going to have a great class, and I hope and expect you're going to feel more motivation. So you're going to study more this week. So my continuing students, my new students, this is going to help overall. So let's get started. For that, I will, hope you don't mind, but we're going to silence the music, and I'm going to give you 1 minute, and I'll time you. So I'll come back after a minute. So let's do our deep breathing, eyes closed, positive thinking, starting now. And that is 1 minute. Hope you feel centered and focused. And the first thing I want to do is connect with us as a group. Let me make this a little bit larger. So, text in the chat, let us know in the comments, how long have you been studying for your TOEFL? How long have you been on this journey? When you first learned that you needed to take it and you started to prepare. So, has it been a week? Has it been 3 years? Has it been 11 years because you started and then you stopped? And what are you taking your TOEFL for? So, is it for graduate school, dentistry, pharmacy, physical therapy, nursing, teaching? That's going to help me when I talk about the 9 habits. And it's always fun to learn more about our community. So cool. So we have Human, excuse me, 5 months, Omna 1 year, Andre 2 months, Jose, and now you're starting to share with me what you're taking the TOEFL for. So 3 months teaching, dentistry, 4 months, 3 years, no problem, right? 2 months, 3 months, PhD, pharmacy. So keep those coming, keep it coming, and don't feel shy. Sometimes we hesitate, but we've worked with students, like I said, 11 years, and sometimes sharing it feels good because I promise you there are other students like you. Everyone's in a journey in a different place. So 1 year teaching, 5 months pharmacy, dentistry, nursing, 3 years, 9 months physical therapy, 5 months and I stopped. Happy you're here. My goal in all of these classes is always to give a bit more push, right? Especially when we start to disconnect, either from life getting overwhelming or sometimes a sense of giving up. But I hope with the new TOEFL and everything, it gives good energy. So 1 year pharmacy, studying for 1 week, you have it after 2 days. So this is good. If you need to keep taking it afterwards, these habits are going to help. 6 months pharmacy, 1 year, fine arts, very cool. 2 months mastery, dentistry, higher education, so graduate school, fantastic. So you see here, I would say that if I were to average all of those numbers, just doing quick math, it might be something like maybe 9 months. When we have our success stories, the average success story takes about within 3 years from the first time they learn about the TOEFL, they first start studying for it when they pass. And those are students that need to climb the most points. But once they learn these habits and they start attending, the average student takes about, I would say, around 6 to 9 months to pass. But some students, when they apply these habits, it might take them a year because they have to make significant improvements. You're looking at 20, 30, 40 points. So no matter where you are, I want these habits to be helpful and supportive for the TOEFL and for any goal. Like whenever I teach, I'm always teaching myself because I'm here growing NoteFull, working hard myself. I have my own dreams. So these 9 habits are for us and specifically for you so that you can defeat your exam. So if you've been on the journey for a short time, don't let yourself feel scared or worried like, ooh, but follow these habits so that you avoid things that give students trouble. One of the inspirations for this was I've started to get several text messages from students saying, I just took the exam. I did worse. I just took the exam. It's so hard. I have the same score. So I started to think it seems with the new TOEFL, there's a real shift in the mindset that we kind of think it's got easier. There's been a change, but I wouldn't call it easier, but I wouldn't call it harder. So in other words, it's still going to take us our hard work and effort. So I'm going to launch us in now and really happy that you shared all of this. So thumbs up to you for being here on your journey. So let's just jump in. So we're going to cover 9 habits. And the first three, here's the first most important one, not studying consistently. So even for the student who texted you, you have your exam in 2 days. I always tell students when you take your exam on Saturday, study on Monday. Don't stop studying until you get your dream score. If you study for the exam, then we are going to build skills, lose skills, build skills, lose skills. Overall, we won't improve and we will feel discouraged because before the exam, we feel energy, inspiration, some stress, we study hard, and then we don't. So the best thing to do is to make it very clear if you want to pass your TOEFL, study 12 to 24 plus hours a week, every week until you pass. Of course, some weeks will be more difficult than others. Some weeks, maybe things happen and you only study 4 or 5 hours. That's okay. But your mind is always with the goal of 12 to 24 plus hours per week. This is going to be the number one thing to help you. Number two, consistently under preparing for your TOEFL test. So even if you're studying consistently, you might be taking the exam too frequently. This I'm very open to because I know some of us need to take the exam to feel motivated to study. If we don't have it scheduled, maybe we just don't have the energy. But I really, really hope that after this, you have this minimum for everyone before your first TOEFL. Ideally, study 40 hours. It's okay if you can't, but 40 hours is a wonderful amount of time for you to understand strategy. 10 hours for the TOEFL reading, 10 hours for the TOEFL listening, 10 hours for the TOEFL speaking, and 10 hours for the TOEFL writing. I didn't talk too much about TOEFL structure because that's we can understand the exam has its parts, but this is really about how to prepare for success. So for those 4 sections that your exam is on, that way you have 10 hours each. You can review it, get comfortable with it, understand strategies and techniques so that when you take the exam, you're able to get the highest score you can for your current academic English level. Now, this is the big deal to overcome the biggest weakness that is a habit that hurts us. That we tend to think the TOEFL test is like this test that isn't really evaluating our English. It's evaluating our TOEFL techniques, which is partly true. But after you've studied 40 hours for the TOEFL and you've assessed yourself in a practice test, or you've taken a test and you haven't gotten your score, that means that now we have to improve our academic English, and strategy and templates are no longer going to help us because after 40 hours, we have them. We want to keep getting better, but now we have to improve our grammar, our vocabulary, our listening skills, our speaking skills. All of these fundamental, just like if you were taking an English class, right, as English is a second language. As a result, we need to have the perspective that we have to level up. So after your first TOEFL or a practice test that shows you're not getting your dream score, after 40 hours of study, it's okay. Now you want to think in 100-hour chunks. And I say this because even my continuing students, I get it. I myself, we all want to succeed faster. But sometimes it's as simple as we didn't study enough. So if you took an exam and you studied hard and 50 hours, which is a lot, it's not 100, and 100 from 15 years experience training students on the TOEFL is where things can really change and you've leveled up in a way that really helps. And so let me go ahead and finish the third, and then I'm going to scroll through some of your comments so that we stay connected. So text anything that you have questions about so that I can address it because that's the fun part of having the class. And number three, stressing out and feeling discouraged with your progress. I'm going to talk about this a few times. This is normal. We all have that, but it is a habit that really weakens us because it leads us not to study, it leads us to doubt ourselves. And sometimes we do little things like we avoid studying the hard thing and study something more comfortable. So even though we're studying, we know we're leaning away from that thing that is challenging. And this happens when we kind of expect, okay, I'm going to study those 100 hours and then I'm going to pass. But the truth is, from my experience working with you, and you're a very special group, you really are, because you're learning English in English, which is remarkable. That means you've really have a solid, powerful level of English. Everyone you've just heard is an academic professional. Everyone here is a professional student. you've gone to graduate school, you're working to graduate school, you're transferring your own skills into an entirely new language and culture. So this is a big deal. You, students we've worked with for 15 years, are special, and your ability translates into an average of improving about 4 points for every 100 hours you study. So sometimes this is what we say is a wake up call because we might have thought, oh, I thought if I studied 100 hours, I'd improve 40 points. And that kind of thinking really has psychological effects that can bring you down because working with academic professionals, we all know that we tend to identify with our academic skills. So it's common that if we expect to improve 10, 20 points in 100 hours of study or after studying very hard, we can start to hurt our own identity. Oh, how are other people passing? They must be smarter than me. Am I not smart? Am I not getting this? Am I never going to get this? And then our dream, we can let it go. I know some of you watching have that and even have wanted or given up. So I just want to encourage you. It's just a bad habit. It's just that we don't recognize that for you, 100 hours is enough to improve about 4 points, 4 plus points. Some students in those 100 hours may improve 2 points. Some students may improve 8 points, and it varies. For example, if you have to improve 20 points to get your score, your first 100 hours, you might practice and see big jumps. You're good. You've improved, you could say, when you practice 10 points. You study another 100 hours, and maybe you get a lower score? Like, is that possible? That's the challenge because sometimes when you practice, we know we've been studying hard, but we get a little stressed, we get a little disconnected, and we're being evaluated with a few questions. Like your reading is being evaluated with 20 questions. It's not like a 1 week experience with you and how you read, which would be more accurate. So a little hiccup or challenge can hurt you. So that's why when I'm going to talk about other habits that prevent us from being able to perform well, but that's why 100 hours is enough for 4 plus points. There's ups and downs when you study, but over your journey, this is what you're going to see. So let me know if this makes sense, and let's have your questions come in, and I'll go ahead and let's see. So NC. I took the TOEFL for the third time and I scored 97, but I want to score more than 100. Do you have any advice? I'd really appreciate it. You have it here. Study 100 hours. It's even 1 point, because the points to succeed come from a level up. Now there's a tough question that is challenging your grammatical ability, your overall vocab level, your ability to stay focused, or your pronunciation. And that's only going to change when you have that amount of study. So 97 to 100 is awesome. You're going to do it. Study 100 hours, 25 hours for each section, and you will get there. And then Chima, 10 hours per week or month, 12 to 24 hours per week, ideally. So that's the goal. Again, sometimes we can't do that, but that's where you're reviewing enough so you're not forgetting and you're building skills week by week. All our success stories, right, that you see on our site, they often, because of this intense focus I have on it, push themselves to study 24 plus hours. If this is a really important exam for you, which it is for everybody, right? It's your future. People have taken time off of work, people have gone part-time. Sometimes people have, left their families in the country that they're from so that they can be isolated, and they deal with all of that because this is real life. Many of you are here to improve yourself. This exam is a important part of that. So I want to tell you that so you realize you're not alone in needing to invest this much. I hope that makes sense. Lath, where can I find resources to study 40 hours? I would say this is wonderfully, because of the time we live in, super easy. You can register for any of our courses. You can Google online and organize them together from YouTube and things like that, any teacher that you trust, the material is there for you, easily accessible. But at the end of this class, I'll tell you how you can get that directly from us too. So, Bashal, you ask a very specific question, so we won't be talking too much about the TOEFL. So this is interesting. But during the listening section, while I start to take notes, I miss something. How can I make it? How can I take notes and listen better? Well, note taking is a skill, so this would actually be the natural thing that you get better when you study your 40 hours, when you study your 100 hours. And this is going to lead us to another habit where we think a technique is going to change a difficulty versus 20 hours of study. So it's really interesting because the perspective that I'm seeing is, what do I do when I have a word I don't know? That's great. We have to learn strategy, and we have those, right? How to use surrounding words, or when you miss something in your listening, how to use surrounding information, what the next thing the professor says to help you understand what you missed. But that is a technique, like a little thing to help you in the moment. But when you have that issue, it means we got to study 20 hours. We got to improve our ability to listen so that we can, because notes do take effort and energy, we can be taking notes, but our comprehension is high enough that we can still follow as we take notes. And we need to practice note taking because it's a skill, just like any other. So it's not something that you learn and now you do well. So everything, the solution is hours of study. So that's why these are the first three core habits. Great question. I hope that helps. And then, Michael, I love it. High five. Power student. Understand first, take notes second. Perfect explanation, right? I need 3 points in speaking. How many hours do I need? 100. There might be a desire to, and it kind of works to say, okay, every 25 hours I study, I'm going to improve 1 point. And sometimes it works like that. But you remember your journey getting to this English level. There was a time where you wouldn't be able to understand anything I'm saying, right? I mean, of course, because we're defining a second language, not a first language, unless you learn them together. But most of us had to study. So what that means is you've gone through the journey where you know that when you feel that level up, it takes time. Like you're in your beginning English class and you're studying day by day and you're learning, but you're still speaking, you're still struggling in the same way. And then after a certain amount of time, you had it. It was like, whoa, I can hear and understand most of what he or she is saying. The words are flowing a little bit more smoothly. So, improvement in the language usually happens in anything, actually, where you study enough, you build enough, and then your brain makes the connections, and then we experience that level up. And so that's why, even if you want to improve 1 point, I encourage you, study 100 hours. You, the best thing is you study, you improve. As you study, you realize you're ready. But the mindset needs to be 100 hours. So you think that 1 point to get past it is a level up. And level ups only come in chunks of study of like about 100 hours. Hope that makes sense. And if this feels new and strange, and like, I don't know if that's really necessary, I think that applies to other people, but maybe not me. I love that you're in this class because my experience is you need it most. Because if you run into trouble from these habits, at least you have this awareness like, oh, I guess it does apply to me. And then you can quickly correct it. Hope that makes sense. Same thing here. I got 25 in speaking. I need 26. Study 100 hours. Because most of the time, when you get your score, your range is within 4 points, 4 points, 100 hours. So if you get a 25 and you're skillful, that means that you might get a 24 or a 23 because, I mean, it's a range that we perform at. It also means you might get a higher score. But my experience is the way you're rated, scores suddenly jumping would only occur when you yourself recognize I'm better than I was before. I'm reading differently. I'm speaking differently. And most students don't often do that. It's let me study this video, let me study this a little bit. Now let me take the exam. They don't actually say to themselves, have I gotten better? Have I listened to my old recordings and my new speaking recordings and I'm like, "Whoa, I speak way better than I did before." That translates to the grader actually assessing a higher rating. It's usually, "Okay, they say I should do this. I think I'm doing that. So let me try the exam." And that's where we get into trouble. So that's why you see with this habit, it's kind of an easy answer. All your questions, study 100 hours. You have one more point, study 100 hours. You need to improve 6 points, 200 hours. You need to improve 12 points, 300 hours. And that's the magic that makes it work. Love it. Love it. You're very welcome. Happy you're here. So Sayed, I have passed recently but scored 75 while practice for months and do not know not why, but it was my first time. So this is really, really important, and I'm really happy that you brought this up because this is the sometimes ups and downs of the journey. And so what I would say is keep to the end because when you say you've practiced for months, I believe one of two things. The most common is that there's probably a habit in there that reduced the efficiency of those months of study. Or number two, we didn't study enough in those months. Or I'll throw in a third one. Sometimes the exam that day, our performance isn't as strong as it could be. And I'm going to talk about all of those habits. So I'm going to scroll through the comments a little bit to see if there's any kind of idea I haven't focused on. Yeah, Muhammad talks about study plans. Everyone's like getting more points, lots of TOEFL resources. Which do you recommend? So here, trouble picking the correct answer. Sanjana, I just want to share this because at Bashal, I have the same problem. That's why I listen without taking notes. Sometimes I just write keywords and it's not neat, but I first write letter clear. I'm saying that because you're all in the same boat, as we say, right? The same boat. So it feels good sometimes to know that what we say other people relate to. We're not alone. That's the beauty of the class and these 9 habits we all have. So let me go to the next 3 habits that are going to start to make everything clearer for you. And especially when you've been studying hard and you haven't been seeing the results that you want. So, number 4, over studying random strategy, over practicing new questions. This is from a mindset that doesn't take serious attention to the reality that the exam is the TOEFL, is weird, is about techniques, tips, and tricks. Yes, yes, yes. But it's also significantly about your actual English level. It is doing a relatively effective job of assessing your academic English skills in the reading, listening, speaking, and writing. And you can imagine if you were if you were taking an exam to evaluate how well you speak Chinese, Portuguese, French, and you just naturally, what do you think you have to do to improve your score? You have to study the language, right? You wouldn't say, what are tips and tricks for this test? I think that's a result of just the prevalence of social media, I'm going to talk about that later, is very good, but it's moving our focus into a way that's going to keep our skills low and over practicing new questions. Now, what that means is that when we take a practice test or we take the TOEFL, again, there's not that sense that the score is evaluating my current level, so I have to level up. It's actually, oh, what do I do when there are two answers that I think are correct and I always choose the wrong one? There are tips for that, but fundamentally, we need to improve our grammar, our vocab, our understanding of the structure of academic material, because that signals this question is highlighting a weak point. This question is actually saying that at this level of detail, we can't really comprehend the language as it appears. But our tendency is to say, what tip or trick do I apply so next time I take the exam, I'll get it correct? So when we take a practice test, we kind of tips, tricks, we review, okay, I know the answer. I, I saw the answer. The answer was given to me. And now I look at it knowing the answer to the question, hearing the example answer, reading the example essay, and I have a sense of clarity. That seems to make sense. So I'm ready for the next exam. But we've just gained awareness for that practice. We haven't actually improved the skill. So we're getting tricked by the same questions. We're struggling with the same content because we haven't improved the fundamental academic English. And so, how do you solve that? Super easy. 40% of your study time should be on strategy, tips, tricks, and tips. Things like this, where you're learning, gaining information. How do you succeed on the TOEFL? How do you manage time? And 60% needs to be on comprehension. That means you're actually taking your practice material and studying it like a student. So you have a lecture on global warming, because that's a super common topic on the TOEFL. And it talks about the specific interaction of carbon dioxide and trees and the mechanism of how trees, use carbon dioxide to build their leaves. So you actually study it to learn. You research that topic on YouTube. You listen to the lecture multiple times so that you understand it. You test your ability to explain it. Any sentence, any word that you don't understand, you study it. And that takes hours, and that is improving everything so that when you get a new lecture, now you can understand it better because all content changes, but the way it's presented stays the same. So when you learn the techniques for teaching academic material in the TOEFL, in all academic material, oh, first they have an introduction, then they have the first point, and then they give an example, and sometimes they give an analogy. You see, though, you hear those patterns. Now, when a new lecture comes, even though it's new content, it feels more familiar because you know what to expect. So studying, comprehending, reading the readings to learn, breaking them down, mastering them, that's the 60% comprehension. And when you study that proportion, the next thing to help you, so you know where, because you don't want to overstudy questions, you don't want to understudy them. So any practice set, you want to invest at least 12 to 24 hours to study. It can be more if you feel that you need more. For example, in the speaking section, you have 4 questions. So you want to spend at least 12 to 24. Now, I tell my students plus. So I say each question you should study 12 hours. So, yes, speaking question number 2, you have to study it for 12 hours. What does that mean? You study in question number 2, you have a reading, you have a conversation, you have time to you take notes on the reading and the conversation, then you have to explain, how does what the person said relate to what you read? You study all that for hours, all the words. You listen to yourself. You level up your pronunciation, your method of explanation. You raise your standard. And so then when you get a new set, you get better because the TOEFL is amazing. You can study for hours, week after week. But if you have these bad habits, year after year, you'll get the same score. And that's why I felt the urgency to create this because I'm with you as that's happening, and I want you to get out of that, and I also want new students to never get into it. And so I hope that makes sense. So I see comments coming, which is great. I'll keep them coming, and I'll review them after these 3 habits. So number 5, studying whatever hours you can find. This is awesome. We got to do it. We got to start somewhere. But this isn't organized enough when we're looking for serious improvement and top scores, which everyone here is. So you do need to create a monthly study schedule. So the easiest way, and we have this in all our courses, my current students, that, where you have a weekly schedule. You go on Google, you have all kinds of calendars where it's like Monday, Tuesday, the whole week, and then it's all the hours of the day, and you just, okay, I'm going to study Monday 3 to 5 p.m. I'm going to study Tuesdays, I feel a little bit more energized from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Whatever it may be, you actually sit down and take time to plan out your month of study. So I tell my students, and I want everybody here because you're all my students now, at least I hope so. So we have that partnership and connection to plan your studies at least 4 weeks in advance. Even if you don't follow your schedule, it's cool, no big deal. But by sitting and organizing your time, you're going to see how many hours am I studying, reading, listening, speaking, writing. You're organized. What am I going to do in my reading? What am I going to do in my speaking? So you don't just sit down and like Google or, there's organization, there's awareness of your weaknesses, there's a building up because that's pretty fantastic when you can say, not, oh, I've studied for a few months and I haven't gotten my score. You can actually see and say, wait a second, I've been studying for months, but it's only been like 20 hours, but it felt like a lot. Now it's like, okay, I better find more time. I better make some sacrifices because we're not talking about the TOEFL. We're talking about your dream. And we know that dreams require new priorities and sacrifices. So it's not just the TOEFL, but after the TOEFL, many of you will be, trying to find jobs where you can get your certificates after the TOEFL. You'll be applying to school, you'll be studying in school. So kind of consider this part of the journey, right? So as a result, when you schedule it, there's more value to it, there's more meaning. You're not kind of fighting, like, I don't want to do this. Number six, doing well in practice and poorly on your actual TOEFL. So the first five habits, really, you do those, you're going to be on track to improve. Now, the next thing is this practicality of test taking skill. So if this is you, here's the most important thing you have to do. Visualize. Remember Miss Froggo in the beginning of the class? Close your eyes and visualize applying what you're learning on your actual TOEFL for 3 minutes every hour you study. For example, after this class, let's say you're going to do the speaking. A lot of you are saying, I have to improve the speaking, right? So on the speaking, you study, you open up, maybe it's NoteFull, you go into your diamond course, you start studying. What you want to do is you recognize you're learning something. Okay, I'm learning how to form my ideas. I need an example. I need to manage my time in this much. Then, within the hour, you set a timer for 3 minutes, you close your eyes, and you actually imagine yourself taking the TOEFL. Home based, you see the computer, you're logged in, you imagined you text back and forth, you showed your ID, you're in the test center, you imagine you drove there or took a bus there, and you're sitting doing it on the speaking question number one, because that's the one you're studying. You say, okay, I see myself on the exam, and you're going to feel something. You should, because you're thinking about, it's like, okay, it'll make it real and be like, okay, I'm gonna take my notes, I'm gonna speak this way, and then after 3 minutes, right, little timer goes off. You come back to your studies, and now your brain is like, whoa, I'm learning so I can do this on the exam. And it becomes so much more real because you recognize, I don't think I'm ready. I need to study. You study with more intensity, and you concentrate more because it's like, I got to do this on the exam. But what if I get this kind of question? What if I get a little stressed? And then, so when you get results at home, you start feeling like, I'm ready. Now you can trust you're going to perform that way on the exam, because every hour you've studied, every hour from now on, at least 3 minutes, 3 minutes, you're visualizing, I'm doing this on my exam to get my score. And that's going to change things. So let me go ahead and check the comments now. A lot of great comments came in. Any questions about this? I hope you're enjoying it, right? High five to everybody. Thumbs up if you're enjoying it. So let me see here. Good. As I followed your speaking template, I got 25, the highest of my score. Among I am satisfied, but not with other skills. So what I would say here is just remember 100 hours of study. That's it. 100 hours. Keep studying the speaking. I'm so happy things work, but remember, it's not the template that helped you only. The templates organize your speaking, but your pronunciation, your connection, your explanation, those things that we work on too, That's a major factor. So I want to help everybody think 40% of my score is TOEFL test taking skill, template, strategy, time management, stress management. And 60% is your English, your wonderful English, right? How do you pronounce words? How do you group words? How well do you explain? How do you connect ideas? How wide is your vocabulary? So 100 hours of study, you'll get there for the other three sections. I can speak well, but preparation time is not enough. That's why I sometimes just mess up. So again, it's not why you mess up. Why you mess up is because that creates a challenge to your current skill level. So 100 hours of study overall is going to increase your understanding of the material. So you don't need as much prep time to explain. If you think about it, it's like a well trained athlete. You're preparing, you're studying. And so when you compete, it's like it's time to perform. And so if you don't perform well, you think, oh, I needed to prepare differently or I needed to prepare more. And then the most important thing is to practice. When I practice, I learn new techniques. Good. And remember, you don't just learn new techniques, you learn new grammar, new vocab, new ways of expressing yourself, which you can consider techniques, but I always want to reflect that you're building your skills too in the language. And so 60% academic English, 40% TOEFL skills and techniques. Oh, Human, I'm sorry about that. I hope there's not too much of an issue for others. Let me know in the chat if anyone else is having audio trouble. Diana, when are you starting the next course? So at the end, we're going to talk about that. The next gold course is in September, but I want you all to be studying now. So I'm going to talk about the diamond course because students in the diamond course get to be prepared, do better in the future online classes we have, which we call the gold course. So I'll talk about that towards the end. Got trouble with organizing my time with the gold course and diamond course. Excellent. I had my TOEFL in 3 weeks. My reading was 21, listening 23, speaking 24, writing 21. So I'm going to talk about this. And so just to make it easy, because this came up, when you're studying our gold course, our online classes, I'm there with you every day like this, training you on all sections. Concentrate on the gold course, forget the diamond course, because most students can study 12 to 24 hours. So we're not studying enough hours to be able to do both, and that's why it feels a little overwhelming. So concentrate only on the gold course. We do have many students who are all in because of all of you know this is important. They have deadlines. So some students are studying 8 to 10 hours a day. And then for them, then you can combine both because you have enough study time. So when you're around 24, only gold course or only diamond course. When you're over 24, you can start putting those two together, or else it'll be too disconnected. Akostar, I hope I can pass soon. You will. You will. Just remember 100 hours for every 4+ point improvement, 12 to 24 hours a week, every week until you get your dream score. And that's going to be success. This is perfect. If I got 17 in reading and I need 25, how many hours should I study? 800? High five. High five. So this happens. I get students who need to study 800 hours. And it's like, what? But this is why, because if you don't do that, you never pass. Because you can imagine that skill level jump requires that time. But that's only if you have to improve 32 points, right? So that's different. 17 to 25 is an 8 point improvement. So that would be 200 hours for the reading. Now, you also have to study the listening, speaking, and writing, right? So you can do the math for them as well. But the interesting thing is, time flies. So if, let's say, you're studying, let's just make it even, 10 hours a week. That's the maximum you can do. You'll study your 200 hours in 20 weeks, right? So like 5 months. You double that to 20 hours. Now it's going to take you 2.5 months. So we're talking in terms of months. And that's usually what helps students too, because the craziest thing is it's so easy to take months because you take the TOEFL, let's say this weekend, and you need a higher score. You don't get your dream score yet. So, you need a week, you take 1 or 2 weeks, you say, oh, I'll take it in like 2 months or something like that, right? So it's going to pass no matter what. So if you're disciplined this way starting now, at the end of a few months, which is like fast, right? We all know time is flying, you'll have passed. So just know those 100 hours, they can mean that you have to study. Whoa, that feels like a mountain. But if every week you're doing this, you're going to get a rhythm. You're all academic professionals, so I always say you can't lie to me. You love learning, you're going to start enjoying it. And then before you know it, you've built skills, you've passed, and now you feel more confident in English, which is so important because it's the language where you want to build your career. So there's a real value to this beyond just getting a score. And I'm not trying to give you extra work, but if you assign more value to your study time, you'll be more inspired, more engaged, more connected. And this is important for you because if this were an exam I could help you pass in 1 week, I would do it. Of course, my goal is your success. However, this exam tends to be an exam of months because most students do have to improve anywhere from 8 to like 15 points. And that does take time. Right? And so, Sarah, I find listening harder. I'm not getting more than 20. So you can organize your time, right? You can shift to concentrate on certain sections that are challenging. Alejandra Good says audio is perfect. Excellent. And then Bishal, how many marks for each writing task? On the writing, you have two questions. Is it 15 plus 15? The TOEFL doesn't really release that information. But my guess is because of the shift, I would say question number one, it makes sense for it to have more weight. But I don't know if they changed their algorithm for how they score because they don't release that. But I believe probably maybe 60% on question one, 40% on question two. But in the end, you just want to be excellent in both. In our courses, we teach you that. So just have that sense that all that matters is that you do well, that you improve your skills, and everything will work out. Good questions, getting some questions about the courses. So don't worry, we'll answer that at the end. Our next three habits. And let me know in the chat, is this helping? Yes, no, maybe? I need that feedback too. I'm human too. I need your encouragement. Is this helping? You finding this helpful? Let me know. Yes, no, maybe so. Surprising, interesting, exciting, inspired, discouraged. How are you absorbing these habits and these changes? Good, good. Janak, Jose, Martha, Lisa. Yes. And then, of course, Human. I'm going to talk about that towards the end. But just a real quick point, the what I'm explaining with these 9 habits is how you'll study. So let's go ahead and do our final 3. Let me bring this down. Number 7, believing the TOEFL is always going to feel hard. Now, this usually is from a sense that there's in all my interactions with you and most students, there's not this sense of getting ready to confidently pass the exam. So I want to remind you of every one of you having the experience where you were in school and studying for your subject tests, organic chemistry, calculus, cell biology, whatever it is, a tough course. You studied intensely your notes. You did extra research. You made notes in the book. You reviewed it. Maybe you even got another book. You looked at old tests given by the professor. You studied them. You reviewed the questions over and over. There was a point, I'm sure, in your academic career, at least once, where before an exam, you were almost looking forward to it. You were like, I'm going to do well. It was an important exam. You well prepared for it. And you did well because it made sense. You prepared sufficiently, effectively. You passed it. The TOEFL is the same. But what happens is sometimes we're always kind of underneath it because we just tell me that trick. Just tell me that tip. Tell me like the least amount of effort I can do. What's the least thing? Just give me that secret. And that's cool. That's the culture we live in. I want that too. But we all know that's not the recipe for success on anything difficult. Like nothing in the world. It exists in movie land, as I like to say. It may exist in like a short video filled with like marketing, which I'll talk about soon. But we know that's not reality. So I want you to actually prepare to confidence. And that is a whole different way of studying because then we're really recognizing how much we have to repeat something, how much we have to review something, because we don't want to prepare to get 120. You can get 120, but you don't want to take the exam when you need a 25 plus on the speaking, you've gotten an 18 and you've just studied 10 hours or you've just learned a few things. Like you you want to prepare until you level up. So sometimes my job is to give you this awareness and almost permission. Sometimes we need that. Like it's okay to go all in. It does take work. And sometimes we stress because we don't want to over prepare because of deadlines. We say, no, I don't want to prepare 1 day more than I need to. But that's so harmful and so unrealistic because we can never know exactly the number of hours to study. I've done my best, 100 hours for 4 plus points. But we know as professionals for a job interview, for your career, doctors here, nurses, surgery, your class, future teachers, physical therapy, your client, you don't want to under prepare, you want to over prepare. So I want to remind you that the way that you succeeded in life is the way you'll succeed in this exam. And this exam is difficult. Nobody is making success with this exam with a secret tip or weapon. Because sometimes my experience is academic professionals tend to feel like foolish if they did. Wait a second. You only prepared 2 hours and you got this? I prepared like 30. Ooh, but that's not true. And if that person prepared 3 hours for what you needed 300 for, that person did a lot more studying before. Like, there's no such thing as doing well on something like this without the hours of study. So I want you to connect with your power to perform under pressure. Reference your own experience of dealing with something challenging that you confidently succeeded in, and you'll recognize it was your preparation, it was your mindset, and it was preparing beyond the necessary so that you could really be relaxed and perform. And so that is going to really be helpful. Number 8 is scoreboard watching. I love this. This applies to sports. You know, in the United States, that's a super common expression. And that means that every minute of the game you're playing, you're looking at the score. You're like, are we ahead? Yes. Are we ahead? Yes. Wait, are we behind? Oh, no. Are we behind? No. What's the score? What's the score? So it's this sense that in every moment, you're kind of assessing where you are. And we all know how destructive that can be to our focus and to reality and to our energy. So, scoreboard watching is when every week we want improvement. We want to feel it. I know we want it. I want to give it to you. But we know that that doesn't really happen in life, right? Every day you get better because usually it's like this, right? We all know the path to improvement has that kind of wavy line for every human being. It's even scientific. It makes scientific sense because your brain learns in networks of information. So it's like you have to study enough to build a network that clicks. And when the network of information clicks, you experience the improved skill set. That's why I won't talk about it too much, but that's what they talk about tipping points. Tipping points is the reality that only after a certain amount has been done does something change. So, the way to avoid this is you actually expect your score to improve after every 100 hours you study. So, everybody here, after this, you're at least going to study 40 hours. My recommendation, if you can't, it's okay. You have an exam tomorrow, all good, you can do it. But otherwise, before your first TOEFL, 40 hours. My clear prescription to you. If you've already taken the exam and you need to improve, at least 100 hours. And I'll be so bold as to say, if you can, reschedule your TOEFLs to do this. You'll be happy for it. And ideally, if you recognize that you need to improve 10 points, and so that means we should study about 2 to 300 hours. You create your schedule. How many months do I need to study 300 hours? Okay, I need 2 months. So let me schedule my TOEFL after that. Let me give myself a week of time. So not only do I study to improve, but I'm going to study and review so that when I take the exam, it's my last exam and I feel really good. And then I hope you can succeed and then share your success story so you help everybody. Number 9, believing marketing over reality. You have to understand the world we live in, fueled by social media. This is social media. There are wonderful positives and there are negatives. And I think that we are not aware of the negatives because everything has a pro and a con, right? Everything has a lot of good, but maybe some things that are not so good. You have to recognize me, everybody who's building their own profession needs to do marketing. Marketing means catching emotion, using words that are exaggerated. It's just a fact, or else you won't watch it. You won't click on it. So everything you see in social media is geared towards your attention and what you want. So, for example, this class, I love and hope it's really popular, but probably this will be way less popular than, 9 tips on how to improve your TOEFL speaking immediately. Raise your score in 1 hour. Like, of course, that's going to catch more attention. But if I'm but that's one lesson. So you see on social media the perception of there's so much out there to study and practice, but you have to be a professional in how you get it. Because if you only get what's popular or only get what's recommended, you're going to have a lot of holes. And the trouble is that every single thing is going to be like, do this, you pass. Do this, you excuse me, do this, you succeed. So as a result, you're always breaking these habits. You're no longer thinking it's an exam you need to prepare for, you need to study for, which it is. You're believing it's an exam that requires a tip or trick, but you actually need to improve. So you're suffering because, okay, this didn't work. Let me go here. Now you're getting confused, discouraged, and time is passing. This is normal, this is good, but this is what you have to consider as an adult professional. So there's nothing wrong with it, but it's at some point you have to think, okay, now I actually have to search. How do I connect ideas better? What you're not looking, what is the best vocab for the TOEFL? You're looking, what are the most common used academic words? Like you're researching how to improve your skills in the language that the TOEFL indicates you need to get better at, right? And you're not just looking for common grammar issues. You're looking, what's the best grammar book, right? So a complete course. How do I improve from, low level grammar to high level grammar? So now you're going to feel the benefit of this. So that is an indication that patient, focused work improves your academic English for the TOEFL, not a magic strategy. If a magic strategy works for you, that means your academic background before got your English level to the TOEFL score that you want. And then you had to learn how to use that for TOEFL skill. So that concludes the 9 habits. High five. I hope you found that helpful. Let me know any questions in the chat. Did you find this helpful? Was this clarifying? After this, we're going to talk about how to apply it to our diamond and gold course so it's more practical, even more practical. But let me know in the chat. Feed me that feedback. Thumbs up if you found it. Good, good, good. Yes. Happy it helped you, Martha. Love those exclamations, Marilyn. You're fueling my energy. Awesome, Jose. Cool, cool, cool. Johanna, yay. Very helpful. Awesome, 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 awesome. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So now what I want to do is just talk to you about the next course, yeah, our next gold course, everything. I like that extremely much. Yes. Fantastic. And yes, always a reminder, so I'm happy you're here. This is my fuel. We all need it. We all need that encouragement. I'm not ashamed to admit it. So now that concludes the 9 habits. I'll just scroll through them very quickly to remind you. So study 12 to 24 hours a week until you pass. Study 40 hours before your first TOEFL, 100 before any other. Expect to improve 4 points for every 100 hours you study. When you're studying, 40% on strategy, 60% on comprehension. So any practice that you have, you should be studying that practice 12 to 24 hours at least before you try something new. Schedule your studies for the month. Doesn't have to be perfect, just how are you going to study for the month? Every hour you study, spend 3 minutes visualizing you're applying it on the TOEFL. Believe in yourself and your power to perform. Prepare so you feel confident when you take your exam. Don't expect the score to improve during your 100 hours perfectly, day by day. Wait for the end of your 100 hours for that point to really think, okay, now I will be better. And remember, nobody, nobody on anything challenging escapes the patient, focused work to improve and succeed, including this exam to build your English. There's no magic strategy. And that's it. Yay. So, applying what you've learned, these 9 habits, to our diamond course, which is being updated for the new TOEFL, and our gold course, which are our online classes, many of you I think are becoming familiar with. So I always want to encourage you, after we talked about that, that your results will come. Ahmed is a story among many that we have that I love to share because his scores indicate what's possible. Reading 28, listening 29, speaking 26, writing 27, 110 overall. Follow these habits and you're good. The next step is, how do you organize your study? Anybody you trust. If you trust me, work with me. If not, anybody. Work on that course, study that course. Take a course, I hope with us, right? Ahmed, I wish I started sooner. I believe many of you are like, I wish I learned and applied these habits last year, last month, right? As soon as possible. It forces you to study, which we all need. That's why we create the classes. I'm so happy you're here because it pushes you, it gets your mind ready, it makes you study more. Have faith in yourself, right? Every success story, because when you pass, you want to tell that to other people, right? I did it. It's just like you. You're going to pass too. You will pass. So now let's jump straight into the courses so we don't talk about any point too long. So this is our website, right? NoteFull.com. I hope you're all familiar with it. When you click on TOEFL Prep, you see different preparation materials that we have to help you. So just a reminder for everybody, we have our self-study training. You log in, you get access for as long as you need, doesn't expire, and you just study according to the material that we've created to train you on every section. So here you see that you can register for any section of our diamond course or our gold course. I'm sorry, our diamond course complete. I'll talk about the gold course later. So I'm going to talk about that. We have our online classes. They're full. We're going to release September in a week. So we're going to, on all social media, we'll let you know. Only if on YouTube, you may or may not know. Sometimes we release YouTube shorts about the course. So make sure, if you're following us on YouTube, I hope you're all subscribed or liking the Facebook page, subscribed to our YouTube channel, connected with us on LinkedIn, here on Getting Started. If you click on Getting Started and you scroll down here, there's a place to sign up for our newsletter. I'm going to We're going to change the site to make it a little easier. We have all our social media icons here. So this way, you know when it's released because it does tend to fill up before the course starts. So you will need to pay attention, and we'll put it everywhere when we release the September Gold course within a few days, like in a week or so. We have our small group tutoring also full, but in September, I think we're going to have it for the speaking and the writing. So that'll be good. So once act so we can work together. You don't lose your space. And then this is really important for those of you because one of the biggest things when you're looking to improve, I would say 10 points. It could be less, but that means we need to level up our grammar too. It's probably the most under focused skill for TOEFL improvement. So when you study our courses, because they're so specific to the TOEFL with grammar, you'll really experience a faster level up. You'll make sure to improve those 4 points in 100 hours. So we have our grammar course there, our dual grammar training and beginning TOEFL vocab, advanced TOEFL vocab. So let's go with their full courses. So when you register, you create your account with NoteFull, and then you see here your memberships. So let's go with the Diamonds course. We just finished updating the first page, and basically it's as easy as this. You just go through that page, and here's how to study. Read every word because every word tells you what page to go to next. So the number one thing to study our diamond course, where you see we have the reading, listening, speaking, and writing, is don't jump around. Any course you register for, even not NoteFull, people who have courses that you trust, invested time and energy. Because, I mean, if you don't trust the way somebody teaches or you don't like the method, then don't get the course. But if you do, then you get the course and you have to trust that person. You have to go all in. Like, if you trust, you're here with me. So you have to read every word in order as described. So when you study, the 9 habits, you review this video so you make sure you're following them. And this course is going to guide you. And then, for example, when you go to the writing, everything is being updated. So I'm going to talk a little bit more because the diamond course you can think is under construction, ready for you to study now and being updated over the next few weeks for the new TOEFL. And so don't worry, you register now, you get all those updates. All our diamond course students from the past are getting all these updates free. And so you see the description. And what happens is not only do you want to follow every video, every recording, every word of the page, you have to, don't jump around. You want to move to the next page when you're ready. So if you're studying one of the pages, you're not done when you finish the page. You're done when you understand it, when you've mastered it, when you've taken notes on it, if it's difficult for you. And then you move on to the next page. So for example, when you practice, and we have practice on everything. You practice the questions, you go through it. For the writing, you write your material. Then, of course, we have our training. Okay, here's the answer to the new question number 2. And in the presentation, because it's a course to help you improve from 15 years experience, it's okay, here's how we need to look at it. Here's how we need to study it. Here's how you need to write it. So here's how you improve your skills. So stay on this page, review this material until you've accomplished what the page tells you. Like, okay, now you know the template, now you have the structure, you got things organized. Now it's time to go to practice number 2. So this is how you study the diamond course. It's as simple as start from the first page, just click on it, read every word, skip nothing, stay on the same page until it makes sense to you, not forever, but until it makes sense, and then you move forward. Now, for the gold course, it's the same thing. When you register for any gold course, right, the first page is so important to read. Read everything. And the gold course, I do give my number so it would appear there. So you can text me directly. Continuing your new students in my gold course, make sure you do that and follow. And what I would say to everybody is right now, if you want to work with NoteFull, you want to work with me, and you're not already, make sure that you register for the Diamond course and you start studying right away, because then when we launch our gold course of online classes, because you can register for them starting sometime next week, but we're not going to start them until September. The more you study the diamond course, the better prepared you'll be. So in class, your questions will be different. Your understanding of what I teach will be different. You will get more out of the gold course. So don't, the number one thing is don't wait. Now, now, now. So that way you're preparing, you defeat your TOEFL as soon as possible. In every course, we guide you, right? Study your diamond course, first page, you're going to get all of this. When you see this here, it's just a reminder that we really do have everything for you. So the key thing that happens is those 9 habits, because sometimes we underestimate the amount of effort to improve. So all I wanted to do was make this very simple. You register, read every word, watch everything from the first page. You follow your 9 habits. In every course, right now, I always give you opportunities to get in touch with me to ask questions. So then it's just a journey of following until you pass, and just that patience, because it'll take the time it takes. For some of you, our journey will be over in a few weeks, for some in a few months, and for some perhaps into next year. It all depends on how much we can study, our dream score, and our current level. So, with that, you now know how to integrate your studies. You now know that if you have any other confusion, we're here to help. And with that, we're done. So let me see the chat, see if any questions are coming up, and then we'll see. So NC1, do you recommend a single section for a week, then move on to the next section? No. We recommend that you study all 4 sections each week. So for example, you study 12 hours a week, 3 hours on the reading, on the listening, speaking, and writing. Because a week, anything not touched, we will forget, because a week is a long time. So another habit, which is great that you mentioned, is don't study only one section, and study every section at least 1 hour every week. You get a 30 on the listening, you still study the listening for 1 hour every week. We have too many painful stories of that section that you were always so good in, we ignored, and then we took the exam, and that section prevented us from getting our dream score. So every section each week. Great question. Do continue practicing help improving reading? Yes, as I said, where you would spend on the TOEFL reading, you have 10 questions with, we could say, 8 question types. So you study the reading, you practice it, you review strategy. Okay, what's detail strategy, inference strategy? How am I supposed to read? Time management for a few hours. Then you spend many hours studying the reading. So as I said, you want to practice that TOEFL reading 12 to 24 plus hours at least to build your skills. So when you get the new reading, there's a honest and real expectation that you can do better. Start having intermediate without, don't do TOEFL. Yes. Now, Puskas, this is good. Start having intermediate English level without, don't do TOEFL. I did, I failed. No strategies, no teacher can help. This is perfect. So, no strategies, yes, but now your teacher, now you need a teacher who's going to help you improve your English level, right? So, teachers can help, strategies can help, but not just for the TOEFL, which I know is what you were referring to. Can we practice for free? Yes. You could do anything for free. This is for free. But I also want you to be aware, like, the difference between building your house for free and a professional. So we want to be realistic in how important is the TOEFL to us? What's our career and our future salary going to be like if we pass this faster? You need to invest in yourself with me or with anybody, but you need to invest in yourself. Who you choose is up to you, but I would not, some of us are in different financial situations. That's okay, no problem. You do what you can, but it's still an investment. So time, resources, energy. So feel comfortable with that because this is important for you. Haha. Yeah, thank you. Very positive comment. Thank you. Love it, Farid. Review 3, practice 50. So that's something I train in the courses, not in this class because it'll take too long, but another way to level up how you study to improve. Johanna, that happened to me. Exactly. That I think you're referring to that sense of the wrong perspective. Maha, if I joined the diamond course in September and if I want to join gold, I'd be better to be in October or I have a chance to take it in September. So, just for practical purposes, everybody, if you're ready to go all in, get the diamond course now. Every diamond course student, when we launch our gold course, we won't continue this forever, but I believe we will at least for the next few months. We give the gold course at a significant discount. And so the diamond course is the best way to start, best investment. And you don't have to finish it before you take the gold course. So here's what's going to happen with the diamond course alone, you can pass your TOEFL. You don't need the gold course. As you take the diamond course, you're going to see how much you study. You're going to see your own level of connection and commitment, and you're going to notice your own improvement. So you're going to recognize, do I need the gold course? And the students who take it who do usually do it because maybe they're a little bit bored by themselves. Maybe they're not studying as much. They don't have a firm schedule, or maybe as they practice, they realize, I understand these 9 habits. I understand this material, but it's hard for me to put it together. And that just means as people, sometimes we need this. I need to be able to ask a question live. I need to feel that energy, even though it's an online class, of this live connection. And so that's why the gold course fills up and is very popular. But you take the diamond course with the perspective that it's going to prepare me for the gold course, start with the diamond, and maybe I won't need it. Super awesome because I'm learning, I'm getting better, I feel confident. So you can take it in September if you register now. You don't have to finish a certain amount, or you can take it in October, or the diamond course is enough. It's a complete course. We created the gold course to help students because we all need that live encouragement. We felt that was important. Is the book extensive reading good for the reading comprehension? Any nonfiction book is good. So, any book meant to educate you on something you find interesting is going to be helpful to improve your reading comprehension because that's homework that we give to all of our students that you need to be reading a nonfiction book for 15 minutes to 20 minutes every day, every other day. Let's see. Any tips and recommendations in same day of the exam to be more confident and relaxed? Yes. I would say for everybody, the day of your exam or the day before, we have it in the diamond course here. The video that we released on YouTube, my shocking experience taking the new TOEFL, right? That in that video, I outlined the entire exam and the time management for the entire exam because the shocking thing was how fast that exam felt. And everybody who's taking the exam, it's still full power. It still takes skill. These 9 habits still apply. So watch this from beginning to end before your exam. Memorize your time management and visualize yourself doing what you learned because the day before the exam, it's not a it's not often where you can learn something you've already studied. So the day or the day before the exam, you just need to review. So that video will take you through everything. So when I talk about reading time management, you could be like, okay, and I know I'm going to get these question types, and I'm going to make sure that I do this that I learned and this that I learned. So it's like your time to review the game plan, visualize your success. So that's the best thing in my experience. Yeah. Updated the diamond course, new TOEFL amazing. Appreciate you, Farid, but there's no 2-hour video for writing section anymore. Will it be updated? Yes. So what the diamond course as you study it, it's ready for everyone to study now, but you'll see basically a lot of additions and some new reorganization. So the cool thing is you'll always be seeing it get better. So yeah. And we're going to do that forever, of course, like these classes forever to help you, but it's going to be something that you kind of see completed towards, I would say, the end of September, but the large amount is the end of this month. You'll see like all the core changes. And again, we connect with anybody, so anybody needing more help or practice, we're always here for that. So, should we study the official TOEFL books before starting the Diamond course? You can do both. You can do both at the same time. It depends on your study hours. If you are studying 12 to 24 hours, you can do both. You concentrate on one. I would say the Diamond course. And if you're studying less than 12 hours, you want to pick one, whatever you feel more comfortable with, either the Diamond course or the TOEFL books. But so what everyone is kind of learning is at 12 to 24 hours, you have some variety. You want to concentrate on one course mainly because you don't want to get overwhelmed. And if you study more, you can add things. And if you study less than 12 hours, then really you just have to go all in with one thing and that you trust. Or else it's too easy to, if you're looking for serious improvement, get confused. Andre, any discount for the material based on geographical area and currency strength? We understand that. So no discounts based on that. So just know that we really care. That's why this class is free, right? And this is the second live that we're doing. We're going to release more videos because we understand. So just make sure that you know we're here for you. If you can only study free material, there are two things that I want you to keep in mind. The TOEFL costs money to take. So if you're not ready for the TOEFL, the cost of the TOEFL is about $250 US dollars, right? If you're not ready for it, don't take it. Use that money to invest in something, whatever. Doesn't have to be NoteFull. So that's how I want you to think, because you don't want to use that money if money is limited, not pass because you yourself don't feel you're ready. Now you have to take it again, but you have no benefit because you've taken the benefit is you've practiced and assessed yourself, but you haven't learned anything. And with $250, you have the diamond course, another course, a grammar book. The other thing is most places do have local libraries, and I'm pretty confident you'll even find TOEFL official books in most large libraries. And you could go back to the basics. So you can organize your studies by going on YouTube and then seeing the videos on the reading, and then you put the links in the page and the listening and the speaking and the writing. So, too many me's. So, what you can do is you create your own course. Like that's the reality that we have. And you keep attending these lives, you keep finding resources that you find that are helpful for free, and you believe in yourself and you'll make it happen. I hope that makes sense. So, Ali, so we're almost done. Happy you're here. We'll finish in a few minutes. Ali, I've registered for the TOEFL test in November. Good, you have a lot of time. And I'm still suffering from reading section. You have plenty of time. Do you recommend me any course? Well, I would say if you're not already studying the Diamond course, do that. And don't concentrate only on the reading because that can be trouble. Study every section every week. So I would recommend the full Diamond course, study everything. And if you want something different, no problem. But that would be what I would do. I wouldn't solve the reading. I would just apply these 9 habits for the whole TOEFL, and you just concentrate a little bit more of your study time on the reading. I have my test within 10 days, but still I couldn't give my best in reading. That's okay. And you can make an assessment, Nishit, because what happens is that do you want to take the exam when you're not ready? Maybe you can reschedule it. I know some you have to pay a fee for that, but it's like I want to give everybody. It's not like, hey, everybody, buy my stuff. It's you have to see that there is investment happening and you want to be in control of it. So you can say to yourself and just make an intelligent decision. Do I feel ready for this exam? You know what? I don't think I am. So I'm going to give myself, let me use the 9 habits. This is how much I think to improve. I'm going to study 200 hours before my exam, make my schedule. Okay. So I need 2 months. Let me reschedule my TOEFL for 2 months later. And It's okay because I don't want to take the exam I'm not ready for, and let me invest in the material I trust to help me improve, and let me get better and build a skill that's going to help me for the rest of my life. Hope that makes sense. And Nilima, is the diamond course free when we buy the full gold course? Yes. So we've only done this recently because the diamond course is the fundamental, most important course we have. So students were getting confused when they had the gold course. Some students were investing in the gold course, but they didn't get the diamond course. So I just felt I want everybody to have this. So the way we made it fair, and it's better to get the diamond course now, is diamond course students for this year so far, because we're going to change things in 2024 after we've like we're probably going to go towards membership and do some other things. So now is the time. So of course you want to pass the TOEFL as soon as possible. But when you have the diamond course and we release the gold course, we give 50% off diamond course students. So it does, like, if you register for the gold course and you get the diamond, it's a little bit more than if you registered for the diamond and then used that code to get the gold course. And so that way, no, because I never like it when I feel like, oh man, if I waited a week, I would have gotten, like, 50% off, and I paid full price. So we don't do that. So you can feel peace of mind that register now, register in the future, all good. So no special thing you missed. And also, we want everything to be do it now. Don't wait. The the best time to have started studying for the TOEFL was a year ago. The second best time is now, right? That's kind of a common expression. The best time to have started would be 10 years ago. The next best time is now. So you see that in the success story. And we gonna have a few more comments. Andre, 2 more months, no problem if you can. The diamond course, whether you have 1 month, 10 months, that's the course that kind of starts to help you master all sections. Do you ever feel fully ready? Yes. I promise you, you will. If you just make that your goal to prepare to confidence, you can do it. It will happen. And it just takes work. And sometimes we want to avoid that, but it will. So I have no experience with the TOEFL, and my score in TOEFL Go tests are around 90. Is it advisable to register for the gold course? Yes, if you need, 4 more points, because the gold course is designed to give you about 75 to 100 hours of guided study. But if you review it, it could easily be 200. So it's just the standard question of, what's your dream score? How many points do you need to improve? When anybody needs to improve like 5 to 10 points, especially 10, that's when I start to say all these habits are super critical. Get something that you trust, a teacher, a course. So if you want to improve to 100 plus, yes. If you feel that you're struggling, yes. I hope that makes sense. Iman, what about Jewel? The Jewel grammar course that we have. So this is for everybody. When you're studying your TOEFL and you're looking for an improvement of 10 or more points, and you recognize I need to add grammar, and you get a grammar book or our Jewel grammar course, what I say is you want to study that 1 to 4 hours a week. And you just study it page by page because you're learning, getting better, seeing how it integrates with the TOEFL. So that's how you study it. So let's say you're studying the TOEFL 20 hours. So 16 hours on the Diamond course, 4 hours on the Dual Grammar course. And that's why I said, too, study time is so important, because you can imagine if you don't have the time, but you need to improve a lot. Success stories, we have to change priorities. We have to make sacrifices, because when we need big improvements, we have to have that time. And we've already hit 11:30, so we're 30 minutes beyond, or like 15 minutes beyond. Just a few more questions. So Maha, yes, Diamond course is being updated, will be fully updated for the new TOEFL. Assume I only have 2 months before the test. Which resource? Easy, Diamond. Start studying and you'll be good. Any recommendation till September to work with you? Diamond course. That's why I wanted to do this too, because I don't want you to wait for the gold course. The diamond is the ideal way to start. And when you do that and you take the gold course, it'll be even better. And maybe when you study, you'll be like so into it and it has everything you need. You'll be like, you know what? I think I could do it without the gold course. We still have the live online classes for free, so you'll still be able to connect with me. You can always reach out via, email for other support. So you'll still have that sense of a relationship. I never took the test. Something that bothers me is the idea of timing my speech at the test. Do the time the speaking test for you? Yes, like all practice, you will be using a timer, you will be building that skill. So, super important to begin gaining your comfort with that. Whew. Quadruple high fives. That was probably like 8 or 10. Ooh, we did it. That was intense. But it was good because you asked great questions. That finishes for us. So, final words. Review this video. Know you're on track to success. If you want to study with us, start with the Diamond course right now. That way you get what you need, you get the improvement, and then you'll have that preparation for the online classes when we offer them, if and when you feel ready for them. But no matter what, you can do it. Go all in. It was a pleasure. Happy Saturday to everybody. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed this, found this helpful. Bye bye, everybody. Bye. Hey, Janak, bye bye. Human, bye bye. Yeah, bye bye. Until next time, you can do it. Be well.